Welcome to New Agent Essentials, presented by the Independent Life Insurance Agent Association. Today we're going to discuss what you need to know to become an independent insurance agent. So there are 5 essentials that we're going to focus on today, the 5 major things that new agents need to make sure that their career is being built on the most solid foundation possible. Education and support, contracts, organization, a business plan, and a marketing strategy. We're going to touch on each of these one by one. We're going to start off with contracts. Now, as an insurance agent, you're typically not going to be able to just go to an insurance carrier, an insurance company, and say, hey, I want to sell your products. They're not going to want to work with you. Most of the time, you're going to have to go through a middleman. And you'll hear this middleman referred to by different names, an IMO, which is an insurance marketing organization, or a GA, or a BGA, which would be a general agent or a brokerage general agent, or an MGA, which is a managing general agent, or an FMO, which is a field marketing organization, or any other combination of letters people can think to throw together. At the end of the day, the label is secondary to the fact that the middleman, however they're calling themselves, is the person that you need to work with to get a contract to sell the insurance products offered by a specific insurance company. So if you really want to work with foresters, you're not just going to call foresters, you're going to call an IMO and say, hey, I want a forester's contract. So, building that relationship with a middleman from day one is obviously going to be pretty important. You're going to be running all your business through them. They're going to be directly in your contracting hierarchy between you and the insurance company. So they have a vested interest in your success because they're going to be making a cut of the premium that you write. So there's a couple of different things that you want to look out for to make sure that this very, very important relationship is one that you're comfortable building from day one. Biggest thing, the biggest red flag you can look out for with a new IMO is if they ask you to assign your commissions. An assignment of a commission is basically where you sign a form and say, hey, Mr. Insurance Company, don't pay me my commissions. Pay my commissions to this guy over here, and this guy over here is going to pay me whatever he feels like later. There's not a lot of valid reasons to sign your paycheck over to somebody else. So if you're being asked to assign your commissions, you want to make sure you've got a really, really, really good reason why. You also want to make sure that you're going to be the agent of record on all of your business. When you submit a policy to your insurance, or an application to your insurance company for a new piece of business, are you going to be listed as the agent that wrote that business, or is your IMO, your middleman, going to be listed as the agency that wrote it? You want your name to be the one that shows up on there. That means when you call the insurance company, you're the person they're comfortable giving information to because you're the agent of record. And that means if for some reason you were ever to leave your IMO, your middleman, that you would be able to take your clients with you because they are your clients, not your IMO's clients. You also want to make sure that it's possible for you to leave that IMO. You want to ask about their release policy. For instance, let's say that you really want to sell, again, with foresters. And you go to IMO A and say, hey, I really want a forester's contract. And everything's going okay for a little while. They give you the contract. And then you find out that IMO B can offer you 10% higher commission. So you want to move your contract over there. So you tell your first IMO, hey, I want a release. They release you. You get moved under a new middleman, a new IMO. And in this circumstance, it's a great move for you because you're getting 10% more. And there you go. Now you want to make sure that that move is possible. If your upline, your middleman, refuses to release you, you're not in a good spot. If you want to be released and your upline refuses to grant that release, your only real option there is to stop writing business, depending on the carrier, for a period of 6 to 12 months. And then once you've gone 6 to 12 months without submitting any business to that carrier, then the carrier will allow you to move your contract wherever you want. Basically, if you want to move your contract, and your upline refuses to release you, you got to put that contract out of commission for about a year to make sure you're going to be okay to get it over to the new group. That's kind of rough, especially if that's one of your major contracts that you write a lot of business on. So you want to make sure that that release policy is fair to you and that you can maintain your independence by moving whenever and wherever you want. That's the definition of being an independent agent after all. It's what you are going for, and that's what you deserve. It's not asking too much. You want to make sure, of course, as well that your commission level is fair. Your commissions are going to vary a little bit from IMO to IMO, even with the same insurance carrier. So make sure that the commissions you're getting offered are fair, commiserate with the market. If you have any questions on that, let us know at iliaa.org. We do offer a commission comparison service, and we'd be happy to help you make sure that you're getting a fair deal. Speaking of commissions, a lot of agents are looking for an advance on their commissions as well. An advance simply just means that you're getting paid a portion of your commissions up front rather than having to wait to earn them. For instance, let's say we sell somebody a policy that costs $50 a month, and our commission rate on that is 100%. Now, normally what that would mean is every month for the first 12 months of that policy, we'd get $50 a month. But if we have, let's say, a 6-month advance, then once we write that policy, we'd get the first 6 months of premiums up front, $300. Now, obviously, it's easy to see why it's a little bit more exciting to get a $300 check versus a $50 check. So those advances, they make a lot of sense for a new agent. We want to be a little bit careful of them, however, because what if our client cancels during that first 6 months where we've already gotten commission and we were waiting for those premiums to come in to true up that commission? Well, if that client cancels or lapses their policy, that's a chargeback. That means you've got to pay that commission back. And that can be kind of painful, especially if you've already spent it. So beware of chargebacks. If you can't pay back that chargeback debt, you'll find out what happens is that the next policy you write, the commission you were going to get on that goes to paying that debt off. And that means you're behind the 8 ball, and that can be a tough situation to get out of. If you're getting an advance, you want to also make sure of where it's coming from. Is the insurance company giving you an advance themselves, or is your upline, your middleman, having you assign your commissions to them and then giving you the advance out of their own pocket? When an insurance company is giving you an advance, it's a little bit safer than when your upline is giving you an advance because there's not an assignment of commissions involved. Now, training and support. Where do you go as an independent agent for questions? This is the big dilemma of the independent agent. Because we all know that those captive agents out there with State Farm and Mass Mutual and whatever, they can just go to their office manager, sales manager, whoever's behind whatever desk today, and ask them what to do, how to get more business, and all this good stuff, and there you go. As an independent agent, you don't have that. You don't have an office you're going into. You don't have a sales manager to ask. It's just you. You call the shots. You own the business. So where do you go for questions? If you need help with an illustration, where do you go? If you don't know how to underwrite a client, what carrier is going to be the best fit for their certain medical conditions or history, where do you go? Who do you ask? If you just need something as simple as help filling out an application or even just getting a copy of an application for a carrier you're not yet appointed with, who do you ask about that? Who do you go to get training, leads, support? This is all stuff that as a captive agent you would have really readily available. As an independent agent, you've got to find yourself. And where do you go to find that? You know, as an independent agent, do you go to your middleman, that IMO we talked about, for this training and this support and this underwriting help? Because keep in mind, they have a vested interest in the business you write. The overrides that they're getting are going to vary from company to company. And the recommendations you get, it's a tough bias to separate. The leads that you may get from an IMO. You know, a lot of IMOs today will offer you as a new agent leads. Personally, I strongly recommend against getting leads from a specific IMO. You know, the fact is, if an IMO is controlling your lead flow, that means they can skim leads. They can divert good leads over to certain agents that have histories of being good closers and that sort of thing. It doesn't happen all the time. I'll admit that. I wouldn't even say it happens most of the time. But it's a risk that's out there, and you as an agent need to be aware of it. Now, our goal at the Independent Life Insurance Agent Association is to provide this training and support network and this help with underwriting and illustrations and applications and discounts on leads and all this good stuff. And if you want to learn more about that, we encourage you to visit our site. It's iliaa.org. Now, organization. No matter what, you as a new agent, you've got to get and stay organized from day one. If you start off using a legal pad or an Excel spreadsheet trying to keep all your clients organized, it's going to devolve very quickly into a very frustrating mess. You're going to have prospects to track, clients to track, follow-ups and closings and calls and appointments, financials to track. There's a lot going on in a business, and that's what you have now. You're not just an independent insurance agent. You are a business owner. You are your sales department, human resources, and marketing, and customer service. You are everything. You own this show. You run this. So organization, that's on you, and it's very, very important that it's done properly from day one. The easiest way to do this is through a dedicated CRM system, a client relationship manager. We offer a few discounted ones through the Independent Life Insurance Agent Association. If you want to check out the one we recommend most, it's the Radius system at radiusbob.com. But there are a lot of different options out there for different CRMs. The point is you want to have something that allows you to track your clients, track your prospects, track your lead flow, and track your financials, what you're spending on marketing, and what those marketing dollars are returning to you. That is vital, absolutely vital to track. If you don't know what spending a dollar returns to you, then you have no idea what business to take your direction in and how to move forward. If you're tracking your financials and you know that you spent $1,000 on direct mail, and that $1,000 you spent returned you ultimately $4,500 of commissions, and then on the other hand you spent $1,000 on aged leads, and that $1,000 you spent returned you $3,800 in commissions. Well, your direct mail leads were getting you $4.5 for every dollar you spent, and your aged leads are getting you $3.80 for every dollar you spent. Now, there's two things to take away from that. Number one, it's obvious that your direct mail leads in this hypothetical example are a little bit more useful. You're getting a little bit better rate of return on them. Your return on investment is higher, your ROI. So it would make more sense to spend $1 on direct mail than it would on aged leads. The other thing to take away from this is that if you could spend $1 and make $4.50, that's awesome. Like if you had a machine on your desk that you just fed $1 bill into and it spit out $4.50 every time you did it, the only thing you would do all day long would be sit there and feed dollar bills into that machine. That is your business. Feed those dollar bills into it. Feed your time, your effort, your work into it. You are going to get a license to print money if you do this properly. You've just got to stay diligent and focused on it. How cool is it that you can spend $1 on marketing and make a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 return on your investment? How cool is it that you can turn $1 into $3, $4? That's a magic trick. That's amazing. That's a huge return. And that's something that you as an agent can get to if you stay diligent about it. And organizing your agency from day one is an integral part of that. Another integral part of that is a business plan. You can't just go out there and start selling and hope it works out. You need to know what you're doing. So, what are you going to be selling? Well, insurance. That's a little broad, okay? There's Medicare, there's final expense, there's term life, mortgage protection, estate planning, college planning. You can do long-term care, you can do health insurance, you could do dual eligible markets, you could do any number of different things. There's a lot of different markets to tap. Who are you going to sell to in those markets? How are you going to reach those people? You're going to call them, you're going to do direct mail, you're going to do a few seminars. What is your plan to get yourself out there? And once you're out there, what are you going to be doing? This is something you need to know from day one. A lot of agents will go out and get their license and then say, great, I'm licensed. Now what? And it's really a crushing realization that, yeah, you got your license and you know exactly the consequences of the Taft-Hartley Act on the insurance industry, but you have no idea how to sell a policy. That's really frustrating. So, first things first, get that business plan together, figure out what markets you want to start in, how you're going to start in those markets. Again, this is something we can help you with, putting together a business plan. And how are you going to grow and change? Do you want to be a final expense agent forever? Do you want to just sell Medicare supplements forever? Or do you want to grow and add new markets? Do you want to expand from mortgage protection into mortgage protection and college planning? Or do you want to break into the business market, start funding some key person agreements or some buy-sell agreements? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? Who do you want to work with? These are questions that if you got to kind of sit back and close your eyes and dream up your ideal client, who would you pick? How are we going to reach that person? Marketing plan. That's how we're going to reach them. See the people. See the people, see the people, see the people. This is your mantra. Insurance is a numbers game. Insurance is a numbers game, and if you see the people, you're going to consistently increase your odds of contacting qualified, interested prospects who are going to move forward with purchasing an insurance policy from you. See the people. How are you going to generate those leads? See the people. You've got to, I know I'm repeating that and I sound a little bit dumb doing it, but it's so very, very, very important. When you are getting started out as an agent, your goal should not be to sell X number of policies. Your goal should not be to write X number of dollars worth of premium. It's a terrible goal to start off with. Your goal should be an activity goal. See the people. This is your first go around. You're probably not going to nail this really exactly right on the first phone call. You're going to be a little bit better by call number 10, but you're still not going to be perfect. The more you do this, the more comfortable you get, the smoother you get, the more you see the people, the better you're going to get at marketing yourself. So your goals from day one should be to put yourself in front of as many qualified and interested prospects as you possibly can. You know, if you've ever seen the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, you don't want to spend your entire life chasing the really, really, really hot leads, the perfect lead. I would much rather get 1,000 okay leads than 200 great leads, because I know that I can take those okay leads and dig out a bunch more sales. See the people. It's a numbers game. The more people you put yourself in front of, the better your odds are. And there are a lot of different ways to put yourself in front of those qualified, interested prospects. Immediately, right out of the gates, first thing you can do is control business. You as an agent need to have a policy on yourself. If you're out there selling insurance to other people, you should believe in that product, you should know what it's like to go through an application process, and you should own a policy like that on yourself. There's no argument there. Just do it if you haven't already. Second step, your warm market, friends and family. Now, don't turn into the guy from Groundhog Day. You're not going to go up to everybody you've ever met and start messaging your friends on Facebook and say, hey, I sell insurance now. When can I sit down with you and talk about your insurance needs? Just let everybody know that you're making a career move that you're really excited about. You're about to become an independent insurance agent, and you wanted to let them know, and no pressure or anything, but if you know anybody that's in the market, or who do you know that's in the market that I might be able to speak to, it's a really great way to get the knowledge out there that you have moved into this career without driving all your friends and family running to the hills. And you'll find not only do they help, you're going to get a little bit of help from referrals, but that really non-threatening approach is going to go over real well, and you'll get a few policies written there too. And then there's some cross-selling to do. Just because somebody buys a life insurance policy doesn't mean they don't also need a health insurance policy, or they don't also need a critical illness policy, or a long-term care policy. Even in these very early days with the controlled business and warm marketing, make sure you're going through a full fact finder with your client. If you don't know how, watch Powerful Fact Finding on the association website. Go through that fact finder and figure out all the areas that client has holes in their insurability picture. And then you're going to patch those up with whatever products you need. Short-term strategies, friends and family aren't going to be able to keep us in business forever. We're going to have to go out and generate some leads on our own. Now, in the short term, we can hop online, purchase some internet leads. The quality of internet leads these days is notoriously bad. And if you buy these things and you work them really, really, really hard and you get an 8% or 10% closing ratio, you're doing really, really incredibly well. It's a tough market out there. These leads are getting more and more expensive. The quality is dropping lower and lower for a lot of different reasons we won't go into here on this webinar today. So internet leads, real-time internet leads, and what we're referring to there is, somebody goes on Google, types in life insurance quote, they go to a website, they fill in some information, and that information gets sold to a bunch of agents, probably like 10 at a time. So it's a tough market, but instead of paying, $20, $30 a pop for those leads on day one, you can just hang out for 30 or 60 or 90 days and then pay $1 for those leads as aged leads. Now, yeah, a first round of agents is already going to have had a crack at them, and maybe right off the bat buying leads that are 90 days old doesn't sound like the greatest idea in the world, but they're an absolutely excellent way for a new agent to get started. And if you want to learn more about that, we've got a really in-depth webinar teaching you how to work aged leads at iliaa.org. You can also use direct mail, which is just essentially sending out postcards and waiting for people to send them back with their demographic information filled out, so you can call them and contact them about life insurance. You don't have to sit there and make these postcards up yourself. You would work with a direct mail house to do this for you. And there are a couple we can recommend to you, as well as a couple that we can give you a discount with through the association. And of course, we've all got telephones. You can telemarket some leads or hire somebody to telemarket them for you. Cold calling, dialing for dollars, however you want to put it, it's the most tried and true way of getting out there and digging leads out of the dirt. We've got a webinar entitled Cold Calling 101 that goes a little bit more into depth on this, but just keep it in the back of your mind as something that's a real serious possibility. Longer term strategies are things that are not going to return leads to you tomorrow or next week or probably even next month. That said, these are things that you want to start doing as quick as you possibly can, because when they do start paying off, they pay off pretty darn big. Like networking, for example. The best way to get an effective lead flow from face-to-face networking at places like a Chamber of Commerce or a Power Core group or whatever is to give referrals yourself. And when you're first getting started, your network is fairly small, your book is pretty small, you're not going to have as many referrals to give. But the more you see the people, the more that networking is going to become effective, the more you're going to be able to put people together and become an integral part of the network that you're in. And then you're going to find yourself going from an insurance agent to the insurance agent. And that's a really cool place to be. Referral groups like we did in Power Core is one I mentioned, BNI, things like that. These are great groups to work on. Finding a life insurance agent's seat in a Power Core group or a closed referral group can be kind of tough because these types of groups typically will only allow one person per profession. It's like if they've already got a life insurance agent in the group, they're not going to let you in. A lot of life insurance agents out there can be tough to find an open seat, so keep an eye out, because when you can, these types of groups are really, really powerful. Referral gathering is very, very powerful as well. As you work with clients, you want to make sure that asking for the referral is an integral part of your sales process. It's something that's really, truly important. It's going to make a huge impact in your career. And you want to work on building strategic alliances where you can. If you are an insurance agent, you're writing life and health insurance, you're probably at some point in your life going to have somebody come up to you and ask you about car insurance. And if you don't write it, well, remember how we said with networking, the best way to get leads is to give them? You just got a car insurance lead right there. Who can you contact and give that auto insurance lead to and build a relationship with to kind of start referring business back and forth? Alliances like that can be very powerful and very, very financially lucrative to both parties. Now, as a brand new agent, there's a lot of information out there. I know, and it can be really overwhelming. So let's just simplify it, break it down a little bit, and figure out step by step what you need to do to get where you want to be. First thing you want to do is a business plan. Figuring out, is this industry right for you? What are you going to do when you get your license? How are you going to market? How are you going to sell? All that good stuff. And again, we can help you with that. You want to go through your pre-licensing and get your license set up. You want to find your middleman, your IMO, and get contracted and get your errors and omissions insurance, E&O, as a type of liability insurance that we as insurance agents have to carry. And if you need a discounted E&O plan, just let us know at iliaa.org. We do carry a discounted one for our members. And while your contracts are out and you're waiting for those contracts to come back in so you can really get started selling, study. Study, study, study. And we could have written study between every step here, because really you should be studying as much as you possibly can. Preaching to the choir, I know you're watching this webinar. I really appreciate that. I hope you found it informative. When you finish this one up, if you haven't already watched the 30-day agent launch plan, it's in our same YouTube channel here. Check it out. We go a little bit more into depth about the exact process you need to follow to get your license in place and to get into the industry. We're just scratching the surface here, and we're just scratching the surface there too. The really in-depth stuff is going to be at iliaa.org, but this is going to help you get started. So study, study, study. Once your contracts are set up and you can actually get to writing that business, it's time to start marketing, finding some individuals who you're going to be able to write business with, and then once you found them, you just got to close that deal, and that's how you sell. So it's almost as easy as it sounds, and I promise the longer you do it, the easier it's going to get. We're going to help you make it easy. And there are a couple of books I would recommend reading too while you're waiting around for those contracts to get set up, or if you're thinking about going into business for yourself in the insurance industry or anywhere else. These are really, really excellent pieces of prose that I've really enjoyed and that I feel like have helped me in my career. The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz is going to help you really get the mindset you need to think like a top producer. A lot of agents come into the industry thinking, I need X amount of dollars to scrape by. Why are you coming into this thinking about what you would need to scrape by? Why aren't you coming into this thinking about the minimum? There is a lot of potential in this industry. There is a tremendous amount of potential in this industry. If you work hard, you can make a lot of money. Think big from day one. Let that be your goal. Everything you do should be building the architecture towards a bigger and better future. And this Magic of Thinking Big book is something that I think can help you visualize that. If you're looking to get into insurance sales, you have to read How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Bettger. You have to read this book. Every insurance agent who is worth his salt has read this book. This is a guy who was born, I think, in like the 1890s, or maybe his parents were. It's been a while since I've read it. And it's all about how he started off kind of being terrible at everything and really getting good and really getting better and really getting great and really getting incredible, and then being one of the top producers really of all time. Incredible book. You've got to read it. And then some days aren't going to be so great, I'll admit. It's going to get a little bit tough sometimes. You're going to have to close your eyes and take a deep breath and and tell yourself you made the right decision. Insurance is a career for you. And a book to help you kind of get through those times, we're all going to have them, is The Dip by Seth Godin. I'll admit, as a book, it's not that great. It's a transcription of a lecture, and the spoken version is extremely powerful. But the book version is really, really good as well. And I would definitely recommend it as a brand new agent. It's a series of ideas that you really should have in your head if you're going out on your own as an independent for the first time. It's going to bring a lot of clarity to your thought and really, really help you get where you want to be. So that's going to wrap us up for New Agent Essentials, what you need to know to become an independent insurance agent, presented by the Independent Life Insurance Agent Association at iliaa.org. This is just a real brief scratch of the surface of what it means to become an independent insurance agent. This is going to set you on the right path, but there's a lot more to know. There's a lot. Check out our YouTube channel here. Come visit us at iliaa.org and let us get you into some of this more in-depth training and help you have the career that you want to have. Thank you guys for joining us. We look forward very, very much to seeing you next time.